Hello, guys. Welcome to my office and welcome back to Golf with Jen. Alright, so if you guys can't already tell, we have another chill lockdown type vlog today. And I'm going to be answering your questions, something that quite a few of you guys have asked me about. So, what better time to ask than right now? Well, answer, I guess. But in the meantime, don't forget to get a drink, get a snack. Let's just chill and have a little chit chat today. So, the topic that I wanted to discuss, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, is with regards to college golf. And quite a few of you guys have asked me about this question, about how I got recruited, my experience in college, etc. etc. So, I've written down a few of the questions just to make sure that I got it all and I answer as many questions that you guys have asked as possible. But I'm just gonna go straight into it and we'll start off with an introduction. So, for those of you guys who don't know, I went to Boise State University located in Boise, Idaho. So, if you guys didn't know that, the first reaction that I usually get is why Boise and why Idaho? Because Malaysia and Boise is very, very different, first of all. And second of all, it's like kind of what you would say in the middle of nowhere. So a lot of people were pretty surprised that I chose to go to Boise State. So I will first talk about how I got recruited, why I chose Boise State, and then my experience there. So basically, when I was about 16, I think, because no wait, 15. Yeah, 15. Because we finish high school here at 17, so then we go to college after that. A few people in Malaysia started going to universities in the US for college golf. So before that, college golf wasn't really a thing. We didn't really know about it. I mean, it was a thing, it's just that not a thing for us. And because I started golf pretty late, I started at 12, so I did not think that this was even a possibility until a few of my friends went. I was just like, might as well try. It's not a brag, but I do pretty well in school. So I think the part of that I was not sure of was, am I going to be good enough to get recruited to play college golf in the US? And my goal was Division One because obviously Division One offers scholarships. So and Division Two offers scholarships as well. But because going to the US is such a big cost, it is very expensive because the currency in Malaysia is not very big. So going to the US and having to pay for my own education, I think, so let's say it's 20,000 US for 1 year in the US, it's about 20,000 ringgit in Malaysia. So I could do the entire like program in Malaysia for the price of probably like going there for 1 year. So it wouldn't really make sense if I didn't get a scholarship. And I did not really write into that many coaches. I mean, okay, so going back again, the way that I approached it is not really knowing anything. My mom and dad started doing more research, and we asked our friends, how do we go about this? And then we looked up the websites of the universities and we looked up websites in the universities for the conference Mountain West, which is the conference that Boise State is in. So I wrote to pretty much every university in Mountain West. I think it was like San Diego State, San Jose State, University of New Mexico, Hawaii, um, Wyoming. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. But there's some decent schools there. At least, I mean, you guys know that with the NCAA, it ranking really can change yearly. But there was a few. Oh, it's like San Diego and UNLV for women's golf were pretty good when I went there. So it's a pretty decent conference. But I didn't really know of other conferences. So I wrote to them, and then I wrote to a few like smaller schools, like Christian schools in California. But because it was a smaller school, they weren't able to offer something like a full scholarship, like something like an NCAA Division One university would be able to offer. And then I got lucky because I started getting more emails from the coaches. And again, to go back, so how I went about with these emails were basically I just introduced myself and then I said, hey, and then the way that I did it too was I actually made a video. The way I was thinking about it is that there's no way somebody is going to recruit you if they have never seen you hit a golf ball. So logically, I thought I would just make a video, upload it to YouTube, and that way when I sent out emails, I could link them to that YouTube video. So in my emails, I just said like, hi, my name is Genevieve Ling, I'm from Malaysia, my handicap is 0, I've been playing for the national team, blah, blah, blah. Here's a video of my swing, and here are my transcripts or whatever. And I got pretty lucky because I got quite a few response from a few coaches, and I was talking to them for a while. And Junior World is usually in the summer, which is like in June, I think, June and July. So my plan was to go to Junior World, which is the thing that a lot of people do at the age when you're like 16, 17, you go to Junior World and then college coaches would be there. So my plan was to go to Junior World and to go to college combines, which are both spots where basically you could get recruited to go to college. So that was the plan. We already bought tickets, everything. It would be my first time going to the US, so I was very excited. And then before I went, my coach, her name is Nicole, so she works at Boise State, and she offered me a full ride before I went. So that really took a lot of pressure off everything. She put a lot of trust in me. She never saw me do anything other than hit balls in a YouTube video. And I mean, obviously, the way it works is you first get a verbal commitment. So she's committed to you. So the way that that works too is I need to say okay, because when that happens, when I go to play Junior World, which she knows I was going to do, other coaches can't come and talk to me because I'm verbally committed to her, to Boise State. So that's basically what happened. Obviously, I still went to play Junior World because it's a big event anyway, even if it was not to get recruited. It was a very, very amazing experience. First time ever in the US. I went to Torrey Pines and I thought that it was going to be hot because it's by the beach and it was summertime. It was so foggy, we had delays and we couldn't even see like 100 yards ahead of us. It was freezing. I don't know what was going on. And it was just such an experience. But and it's quite funny too because when I was playing in Torrey Pines, I could see my coach, which was the first time that I've ever seen her, but I couldn't talk to her till after the tournament. So they had a lot of NCAA rules which we weren't really sure about. Obviously, coming from Malaysia, I didn't think that this was a possibility. I was just like shooting up and just try luck and see what happens. And I didn't know that this was going to happen. So yeah, weird rules, stuff like that. My coach explained all of that. So basically, I got recruited before I went to Junior World. So because of that, I skipped the college combines because it didn't really make sense for me to go play that anymore because I already had a university. So instead, I didn't drive. My dad drove all the way from California to Boise, and that was my first time ever seeing Boise State. So, okay, why did I choose Boise State? Like I said, it was my first time going to the US. First of all, the coach was a big, big, big factor because, okay, I'll put it out there that I didn't have very high expectations. I didn't like, oh, I'm going to apply to the #1 school and, try my luck. I just wanted to go to the US. I wanted a chance to go and see how I would play in another country, in the US, especially where the LPGA Tour is, because that's my ultimate dream. So my first goal was scholarship. And when I talked to my coach, she was very, very interested. That was something very important to me as well, because I talked to a few other coaches and the vibes, I mean, you just get it. And you're going to be spending a lot of time with this coach, so you better get along with her. So I really liked my coach, and I was sold when she called me and she said, here's my offer. I'm willing to offer you a full scholarship to come to Boise State. And she explained the whole thing. Obviously, I said yes. Another thing is also I have been living at home my entire life. Going to somewhere like the US, let alone to somewhere like Boise in the middle of nowhere, it was something that I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to like Texas or like California because that's so similar to Malaysia in terms of like it's hot and stuff like that. I wanted to experience weather. I want to experience snow. And I wanted to be alone. I've always been quite I wouldn't say I'm a loner. Like I enjoy my time with people, but I like independence. I like being alone. I don't mind being alone. So I didn't want to go to a university that already had another Malaysian player there because I wanted to be the first person there. I wanted to experience it on my own and not have somebody to rely on and just be like, oh, I already have a senior who's a Malaysian. She's going to help me. No, I went there with nothing. Basically, I had to move from Malaysia to Boise, had no place to stay, no car, nothing. Basically, just brought clothes on my bag, my golf bag, and went over there. That experience in itself, I think you cannot buy. I was very, very excited to do that. And as I said, I've lived at home my entire life. So even though I am an independent person, I've always been very dependent on my family because I live at home. And obviously before 17, I couldn't drive. So my mom and dad drove me to like every tournament. So I'm very, very close to my family. And even now, I'm very close to my family after college. But having that few years to actually go out and be by myself and having to be independent without anybody else to rely on, I think that is just the biggest part about college that, I mean, like if you say what's the biggest thing that you ever took from college golf, I would say independence. Like that's just something that you cannot buy, something that you cannot experience if you don't go live by yourself and do this thing by yourself. Anyway, another thing that I wanted to say was, even though that is how I got recruited, there are other ways to get recruited. One other way could be through agencies. I'm not really sure what the proper term is, but there are like agencies or companies or whatever you call them that basically they will link you up to the coaches. So they might have a network of universities and you talk to them and then they talk to the coaches for you. Also, another thing is coming from a country like Malaysia, and that's why my coach had to take a chance on me because she's never stepped foot in Malaysia. She doesn't know any Malaysians, so she has no idea what I'm like, doesn't know what my culture is like. She doesn't know if I can speak English, and that's all reasonable, like for her to not know that. So she really took a chance on me, and I think that another way that you can actually get recruited, which a lot of people after I went, the year that I went, there have been quite a few people that have been going to the US. And you can kind of, for instance, somebody could come up to me and ask me to recommend them to my coach. And that's another way in connections, like because obviously my coach knows me and she would trust my judgment on the player because if I've played with them, I probably know who they are, how they play golf, etc., etc. Versus just having that email connection, which is what she had with me, and she had to take that chance to recruit me. So I think that there are a few other ways, but I would say the most important thing is just getting yourself out there, writing emails, write as many as you can. Like I said, I got very lucky, but there are a lot of coaches that just will not even reply to you. Just maybe they have a full roster or they just are not interested. If you don't write, you don't know. Just take a chance. You don't know what could happen. I had an amazing experience in Boise. And I think something else that I wanted to talk about was with regards to what I learned in Boise in college golf. First thing that I said just now, independence. But another thing that I really learned was teamwork. Because when you play college golf, it's a team event. And very rarely is golf a team event, right? It is such an individual sport. I've played it as an individual sport my entire life. Even though I've represented Malaysia multiple times, I represented the country, but I was playing for myself, if that makes sense. Because when you play college golf, you can't get a team win without the rest of your teammates. You know, you can win individually, but you can't get a team win if the rest of your team doesn't do well. So it is crazy, like the difference of playing a team game versus playing a game for yourself, which is something that I've always played very individualistic sports. Like and I ran from like solo, not like relays. And then I did taekwondo, which you don't really need anyone. A lot of individual sports. I never really played team sports other than netball, but I didn't really like it. So, and in general, I don't like to rely on other people. Like even when I'm doing like school assignments, I don't like having to rely on other people. I like being in control of the result, and I feel like if I'm in control, for instance doing a project, if it's just me and I do badly, I know that it's all my fault. But if it's a team project and we do badly because three people were slacking, then that just irritates me so bad. So I'd much rather do things alone. Learning to be in a team was something that I don't think I could have learned if I did not go to college and if I didn't play college golf. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about before this becomes an hour-long video is I have so much that I can share. This is honestly a topic that I could go and talk forever. But yeah, if you guys have more questions, leave them down below. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about was the difference between playing amateur golf, college golf, and now professional golf. And it is amateur golf. Like I said, I played in Malaysia. I played a lot. I went from junior events to amateur events, and I represented the country. I did play quite a bit of amateur events. And then going to college, that was a big change. The first thing was obviously the team thing that I said. The second thing was just being alone, being in a new country, having to do that whole thing, and then having to try and perform well and like play golf and try to win tournaments. Because ultimately my goal, even before going to college, was to turn pro. So I knew that those 4 years would lead onto my final goal, which was to turn pro. And because of that, I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well. Like I'm always like, you need to do well, you need to do well. And being such like a perfectionist, I want to do well in school and golf. So I would say that transition from amateur to college golf, I was not really ready for that. I actually did very well in my first event. Like my first event, I placed second. And I think it was just kind of like, I was almost like shell shocked because it's my first time ever walking 36 holes. You do not do that in Malaysia. The weather here will literally kill you. I carried my bag, which I never do in Malaysia because I always use a push cart. And it was just like, I think I was just so out of it that it actually was so good for my game because I was not thinking about that at all. I was just thinking of playing golf, and I ended up doing really well. But just that whole thing from amateur to college golf, I don't know. I think that now a lot of the people that go there now, they are able to see how other people experience it. But when I went there, there wasn't that many people going there. So like I didn't really have anybody to ask like what do I do to prepare, and I couldn't be like, okay, I'm just gonna go play 36 holes every day. Like that's, like I just said, that's not gonna happen in Malaysia. You're literally gonna die. So um there was just no preparation for that. And just playing as a team, everything like that, it was just so different. But then even though that was very different, going from college to pro, I would say was even more different because when I was in college, it was as if, okay, you went from being very dependent on your family, like when I was amateur, went everywhere with my family. Basically, they traveled to every single tournament with me. I never traveled alone unless I was with the team. And then went to college golf, which I was technically alone, but I always had a team. So I always knew that there was at least 4 other people with me and a coach. Even though I'm in a completely new environment, there was at least a few people that I could rely on. And in going to playing pro, I had nobody. My year, I was the only one that went to qualify for Q school. In China, in Taiwan, in Korea, everywhere, I was alone. In the US, I went alone. I did not have anybody to ask questions to. I did not know anybody. It was I don't think, I don't know, maybe people have better ways to adapt and go from one stage to the next, but I was kind of thrown in, and it did take me a while to get used to it. But every single experience that I've had has been so amazing, and I've learned so much, and that's why I said I could talk about this forever. But really, it's just, I don't know, words can't describe it. It's just an experience of a lifetime, and I'm so grateful to be able to pursue what I'm doing today. And I would say that a big part of it was being able to go to the US and play college golf, because I was exposed to so much there, and I was exposed to different conditions, different weather. The first tournament, we had a typhoon. Never experienced that in my life. And then I went to play pro, and I experienced an earthquake. I am still learning. Even though this is technically like my third year turning pro, I've only been playing technically on a full tour for 1 year. Last year, obviously, couldn't play anything. I'm hoping that we have brighter days ahead, because I think that I still have so much learning to do, and I'm so excited to learn. I hope this answers a lot of your questions about college golf and my experience. I don't know. I feel like I was just talking for a long time, but I hope that wasn't rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys have more questions or if more things that you guys want me to talk about, please leave them down below as always. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe so I can keep making content for you guys. Thanks for watching.